I want to say, first and foremost, that philosophically I really believe in investment in robust infrastructure in transit and transportation for everyone. That being said, I want to make sure that from what I've heard from my residents and from District 1 and from people across Orange County, that if this investment isn't really different from what we've done in the past, if there isn't a very distinct turn away from additional pavement and extra lanes and an auto-centric community, that I can't get behind it because I'm representing them. And so I wouldn't support something that is business as usual. It would have to be very dramatic. The second part of that is that early on I got to meet with the municipal leaders out in District 1, had the opportunity to actually hear a presentation from Ian Lockwood with Tool Design. If we could bring in experience in planning where there has been success moving people out of their autos and into either other transportation options, which has brought value to the whole community, then I think it would really be beneficial. The municipal leadership was all on the same page as far as wanting to hear and see a cohesive and comprehensive plan. So far, this, and I know that this is such an ongoing process, but it looks very patchwork. And so even though it's inclusive of all those municipalities, they want a cohesive plan because, obviously they're sometimes wrapped around each other. And so it has to make sense in that larger scale. And one of the other things I was able to learn about in the meeting with Ian Lockwood and with the municipalities was the idea of induced demand. And I have no engineering background, but the more I read about it, the more sense it made, because you see it all over Orange County where there's a residential area, an apartment complex across the street from a supermarket, and what a great convenient way this is to live. We have everything close to us. There's a school in walking distance. But the second that we start adding lanes because we think we need extra space for some neighborhood at the end of that road, then the person that was here on this side of the road trying to get to their supermarket can no longer cross safely there. And so they have to get into their car, and the demand goes up because now we have all these residences. And if you think this is not a phenomenon, just drive down Winter Garden Vineland Road. We have large, beautiful apartment complexes where people have to get in their cars to go across the street to Publix, because that's what adding lanes does. It's induced demand. And so, the more I read about it, the more I understand that the areas that have retrofitted even their gigantic spanning 6-9 lane roads are really benefiting from overall economic growth and a very equitable type development. And so those were really priorities for the West Orange community. Ian Lockwood was sort of in on or the design for Plant Street and Dillard. For people who are familiar with Winter Garden, you'll understand how walkable and bikeable that area is, and how much they value the idea of not focusing everything on the automobile. So that was pretty much the kind of foundational stuff that I had, and there's lots more to come. So I really appreciate this launching point, and I just want to make sure that moving forward, that transit and transportation option that really on the last of the list should be the things that are guzzling gas and soaking up pieces of our valuable property.